So I want to share with you a really great metal cutting bandsaw. This is the Baileigh BS-210M, and I use this in my home shop. It's pretty big for a two-car garage, but I make it work because I have this mobile rolling base by Bora, and that allows me to roll this machine around with ease. This machine weighs between 400 and 500 pounds, and it's really no problem for me to move around. So I chose Baileigh because I had used one of their other horizontal bandsaws at a fabrication shop that I was working at. They had the BS-250M, which is basically the bigger brother of this machine, and I really liked my experience with it. It had all the features that you need, no frills, and it looked good. So when it came time for me to upgrade from my little 4x6-inch horizontal bandsaw here at the home shop, I ended up choosing this saw, but I considered another popular bandsaw in this mid-size class range, and that is the Ellis 1600. Now, both of these bandsaws run on 110 volts, so they're both able to be used just about anywhere. Now, a few things about the Ellis. It is made in America, so that is a pro for Ellis, and it has a higher cutting capacity than the Baileigh. So if you're cutting large parts, then maybe that's the bandsaw for you. But what I love about the Baileigh is that it has this big catch basin. Now, the catch basin is designed to catch the cutting fluid and then recirculate it through the hose onto the blade to keep it cool. I don't use the cutting fluid because I'm not doing long runs of parts where the blade is really getting hot. But having the catch basin is still a massive benefit to me because it captures all the cutting chips, so I never have to sweep up around the saw after I'm done using it. Now, another great feature about the Baileigh is the working height of the vise. So the bed of the vise is 36 inches off the ground, and the bed of the vise on the Ellis is about 28 inches off the ground. So the Ellis sits lower to the ground, so it's not quite as ergonomic. It's a little bit harder to bend down and work the vise and monitor the blade and be able to see what you're doing. So I like having everything on the Baileigh be at a better working height. And I've used the Ellis a lot. I worked in a shop that had the Ellis 1600, so I'm very familiar with it, and I very much prefer the Baileigh. So you turn on the switch, you press the green button, it starts the blade running, and you have a variable speed control right here. It goes all the way down to 66 feet per minute. Turn it all the way up, it's going to go up to 280 feet per minute. And to stop it, you can do that in two ways. You press the big emergency stop button, which I don't like because A, it's kind of hard to press, there's a lot of resistance on it, and then you have to turn it clockwise to release it and be able to turn the machine on again. If you had started it running and you're not going to let the bow head drop and shut off automatically, there's one other way to shut it off, and you're kind of cheating the machine. So this button right here is an on-off switch. It's a plunger style on-off button, and it is depressed by this block right here, which will make contact with that switch when the hydraulic cylinder bottoms out, meaning when the bow head drops after you've made your cut. So here, I'll show you. You open up the cylinder, the bow head is dropping, that bar will contact that switch. So if you didn't want to press the emergency stop button, you could just press this with your finger and you would stop the blade. That's good to know. I'm about to cut some 1/4 inch by 1 1/4 inch wide stainless steel flat bar, and I want to show you the part stop. Now, the part stop is a feature that's easily overlooked, but it's very useful. So you slide it into the hole and tighten down the set screw. Now, I keep a T-handle Allen key magnetized to the column over here, so it's always handy. Now, the capacity on this is 8 inches from the blade to the front of the part stop, but you could almost double that if you turn this guy around. And now your capacity is almost 14.5 inches, and I use it like this all the time.
Now, another handy feature of this machine is the quick release vise lever for making repeat cuts. Simply pull this lever up, slide your material forward until you hit the part stop, lock it back down, and you're ready to make the next cut.
Now, the standout feature of this machine is the swivel bowhead. This enables you to effortlessly make miter cuts up to 60 degrees. To loosen it up, you pull this lever all the way to the left and then pull the bowhead towards you. And you can see what degree you're at using this gauge down here. The cool thing is this bolt right here is a stopping point for the swivel base. So you see it runs into the bolt head. And that puts the blade at exactly 90 degrees to your work part. And I've tested that with a machinist square, and it cuts at exactly 90 degrees right out of the box. So 5 stars for Baileigh. Since you've made it this far, I'll show you some small modifications that I've done to this machine. The first is removing the handle for manually lowering the bowhead. So this slots into this hole and is captured by 2 set screws. Now this handle allows you to turn on the blade by pressing the switch and manually lower the bowhead in lieu of using the hydraulic downfeed. Now I never use this feature. Maybe you would use it if you were cutting through some really thin material and didn't want the blade to rip through it, but I find it to be useless and in the way, so I removed it and the wire that runs to it from the back of the machine. So the wire was routed somewhere around here along the same pathway as that hose around the back of the machine, and I left it coiled up right here. Now the next thing that I did is to line the upper and the lower catch basin with stainless steel. And I did that to protect the paint and make it easier to clean. So what was originally in this spot was a mesh steel screen that would allow coolant to filter through, but not any large debris. So I replaced it with a full sheet of stainless steel that is screwed down with these 4 bolts, 3, 4. So notice the handle on the hand wheel for the vise. It sticks out into space, and this is the handle that came with it. I replaced it with this folding, collapsing handle from a McMaster car because it can now be folded up out of the way. And if you bump into the side of this machine, you're going to get poked by this handle, and it's not going to be a good time. And I put those same handles on my Precision Matthews benchtop milling machine. I put them on all the hand wheels. So that's more table space. And more importantly, the front hand wheel, I mean, you're just asking to run into that thing. So now it folds up out of the way and is not a problem. And lastly, I covered the top of the control box with a sheet of aluminum. So that's my overview of the Baileigh BS-210M bandsaw, and I hope you enjoyed it.